Happy Taco Thursday. Everybody doing this wonderful Thursday? And I got a special guest. Well, he's definitely a friend and family of the show. I'm on Jeff Needs Sports, but in the summer, it's Hard Knocks with Jeff and AB. How's it going, Jeff?
Great, man. Thanks for having me back on. I'm glad that we got to do this. This gonna be a good conversation about our two teams that are the very similar paths this season. I don't know if two teams. I'm gonna give this away. This is my sneak peek. I don't know if two teams in the NFL are the on the closest to being on the same path as the Dolphins and Cowboys are.
Yeah, it's like we both have like the almost the same team, but in different. One's in
Yeah,
Texas, one in Florida. Is that type of thing?
yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be a down the wire game. I wouldn't try to jump the gun a little bit, but that's just my honest opinion on that. It should be a really good game. But before we start getting into that talk, I wanted to go into it's Christmas time, and what is your favorite Christmas movie of all time? Oh, did I lose Jeff? Uh-oh. Think we might have lost Jeff for a second. I wonder why he gave me a stern face. Oh, are you back?
Yeah, sorry, I had a little bit of connection issues there.
No, you're good. When I was talking, I just see you had the stern face going on. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
I couldn't see anything. I apologize to everyone.
uh,
Who knows?
no worries. Let me. Well, he should be coming back in a little bit. Let's see. See if we can do this real quick.
It is. Now it's just me. Now it's just me. Hosted. So I'm Jeff from Jeff Needs Sports Podcast. The last season we did Hard Knocks. I wasn't full time yet. Oh, now AB.
I was
He's
trying to.
back. So I was filling time. Now we're back.
Oh no, you good.
Maybe.
I was trying to refresh the uh for a little bit, but I'm back.
It's all good, man. It's all good. It's just part of the business. I just kept talking that time.
Oh, okay.
That's is kind of something I do.
What was the discussion board you're talking about?
I was just explaining how Jeff Needs Sports Podcast was back,
Yeah.
on a more timely basis, and instead of being a partially retired podcaster and guest, now I was actually doing my own stuff. But now you're back. We don't need to cover that. But I appreciate anybody that listens, likes, reviews, all that good business. So we just got that out of the way.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely great to have you back. I know we've been trying to get you back for a long. But it's great to have you back, bringing out some great content. But
No,
it's Christmas.
absolutely, man. You too.
Yes, sir. So my question was, what is your favorite Christmas movie of all time?
All time. It's Christmas Vacation. It's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Shout out to Stuart Brooking. We did a show in the Morning Brew was a show with Morning Brew on the Stew a couple weeks ago. We did a Christmas movie draft, but mine it just National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation came out. I was about 14 years old. It hit the right time. Um, you know, just like a lot of people, we live. I have a oddly, you know, complicated but yet fun family, and it just hits all the notes. It's quotable. You can watch it over and over and over. It never gets old. So that's definitely my. I'm not a real sentimental Christmas guy. Like
Oh, okay.
I need like gifts. I need hijinks.
Yeah.
I'm not a Wonderful Life guy. I'm a Christmas Vacation guy. What's yours, man?
Oh, got you. Right. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm not into like those gooey like, oh, it was a Christmas Miracle movie. I'm a
Yeah,
Home Alone. Home Alone's one of my favorite
Home
Christmas movies.
Alone's dope, man. It's
Yeah.
it's great. I'm just a little bit older than the Home Alone crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit. Like I remember taking my nephew to see. He was a little kid, taking him to see Home Alone 2, and like what a big deal it was. So like Home Alone just missed me, but I watch it 3 times, 4 times every Christmas season. I love that movie.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely one of my traditions. Like when it starts getting around Christmas time, that's the first movie I'm gonna watch is Home
So
Alone.
so So what it's become with me now is Home Alone is my like Home Alone. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that's my like kick off the Christmas season is Home Alone to me now. Love the movie. One of the all time great performances by a kid actor. There's so many funny things. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's a great choice, man.
appreciate it. Yeah, I I actually got a truck. I haven't watched Christmas Vacation in a long time, but I need to try to check it out before Christmas. That's gonna be my goal.
Well,
Uh,
and as you get older, Christmas Vacation becomes more relevant. As you
okay,
become, an older person and just like go through stuff and like work and everything wears you down, like Christmas Vacation, and you got older family members and like you
yeah,
just live more. Like the older I get, I liked it when I was young, but the older I get, I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is so like relevant. Yeah, but Home Alone, man, that's I think Home Alone gets better every year. And I think a lot of it is because like with all the technology now, I think it's fun to watch Home Alone because a cell phone would have solved everything. Like
oh
you
yeah,
can't make Home Alone with mobile phones now. Like it would have been over and it'd have been 30 seconds. It'd been like, oh, Kevin's not here. Like, whatever. But like it's I don't know how like really young people watch it. They must be like so confounded by like I don't understand why it's so hard to like get a hold of somebody
yeah,
or figure out where somebody's at or locate somebody. So I think there's a romance. So just like when we grew up, like when It's a Wonderful Life was on or White Christmas or whatever,
yeah,
old, Christmas movie was on, then it was the same way. Like Home Alone is like it really falls into this crack of like slightly possible, which
yeah.
is kind of gone now with technology.
Yeah, you can like you said, it would be a commercial now if they try to
Yes.
recreate that. It would just be like
Yeah.
30 seconds because phones got where they know where you're at and everything, or you can
I
just
mean,
target you.
think of how much of it revolves around like think about just this scenario. Like you got to have the pizza delivery guy, but you got to have cash for the pizza delivery guy. Like cash was important, and you have to like rewind and fast forward a VCR. You know what I mean? Like it all hinges on that. Like like I mean, the movie's 30 years old now, so it's just kind of it's a time capsule is what it is. It's a time capsule.
Yeah, you'd have to explain to somebody that was born in 2000 and below
Yeah,
uh, how this makes sense because they'd be like, they could just call somebody like,
yeah,
well, we didn't have cell phones like that. Cell phones are about this big,
yep.
and not everybody owned one of those. And
And like,
and
why didn't the cops just shoot everyone? They're like, I don't know. I don't understand why the cops like were so laid back. Like they just wouldn't go check on the kid, no matter how much she asked. They're like, nah, he's all right. Like, why
uh,
weren't the cops more interested? The wet bandits, like I don't understand. None of it makes sense. It's great.
man, if I was those guys, I would have gave up when I slipped on my back. I'd be like, nah, this kid ain't worth. I'm going on.
The the stunts in that movie are top notch. It's
Yeah,
just like there's 4 or 5 things that happen in that movie. It's like that's the most excruciating thing I've ever seen. And it's wonderful. Like just to come up with it. So it almost becomes like a cartoon at one point. It's just amazing to watch. Like just to watch the stunts though, because like again, everything's practical back then. Like there was stuntmen that
yeah,
had to slide down these icy steps, you know what I mean? Like upside down. Stuntman had to get, hit in the face with a can of paint. Like all these things like had to fit like physically happen, in the world. It's so cool.
yeah. That's some of the things that you don't really get to see in movies anymore because
Oh
stuntman is
yeah,
still existing, but CGI is
it's
taking
CGI is
over.
taken. Yeah, you could make his whole movie now, and the only actor you would need was the kid. I'm being totally serious. Like everybody else could just be CGI.
Yeah, that's true because you can't even most of the characters you all you think is Macaulay Culkin and then the bandits and then like okay the mom screaming and
Yeah.
yelling and all the 30 kids that were in the movie too. It's like you don't really remember all their names.
Just side note, like I'm not trying to judge her, but not a great job as a mom. Not she
Nah,
like I understand like taking off to the airport. So here's another thing. Here's something that nobody has any concept of. getting to an airport with like 15 minutes before your plane took off. Like like I can't imagine anybody I remember what that was like. I remember running to get on an airplane. Like, I remember that. Like, that was a thing that really happened. That's not made up. Like, you could get to an airport a half hour before your plane took off, not boarded, took off. And you could still get there. Like, you could run through security. And guess what? People that weren't on the plane could go with you. Like 4 or 5 people could run through security and run to the gate. Like, nobody has any concept now what it's like for, like, to run to the gate to stop somebody from getting on a plane, or they forgot something. Like,
Yeah.
sadly, like, we all know why, but we're not gonna talk about that. But I'm just saying, like, that was a real thing that you were able to be late for a plane. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, literally, I think my first time on a plane, that was like the first. That was like you could get literally just run and get on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just show up, get on a plane. It was like going to the mall. Different times.
Yeah.
Anyway, feels like we got sidetracked. That is a great question. Great question.
Man, hey, we were kind
I
of
love Christmas movies. I love Christmas movies.
Yeah, we just showed our age right now on this podcast.
Yeah.
Some of the young ones are like, "What the heck are they talking about right now?" But
I was just right before we started watching this. Me and my wife were watching Scrooged with Bill Murray. Another one of my all time favorites. Like, it's so like it's what a great take on the classic Charles Dickens story. So, like, yeah, I'm a huge Christmas movie buff. I watch all of them that come out. Watch Spirited, the Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds movie the other night. That's the first time I got to see it. Great rendition. So, like, yeah, I'm a Christmas movie, buff, especially like the month of December. Like, me and my wife watch one or two every night. It's the month of December. And I squeeze that in with all the football. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, hey, you watching Christmas and football, man. That's dedication right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a comment from David Burns. Cowboys ain't going nowhere this year, but they'll get kicked right back out of the playoffs. Dang,
I don't think that's true.
Nah,
I don't think that's true, because here's what I would say. Here would be my pushback to David. I see what you see, but here's what I would say about the other teams you're talking about. The Eagles have looked worse. The Chiefs have looked worse. The Bills have looked worse. The Dolphins have looked worse. Like, I guess you're just hinging everything on the 49ers. That's great. If you're going to tell me the 49ers are the best team in the history of football, then I believe you. But, like, the Cowboys only have to play the 49ers once. That's what I would remind everybody. Like, they don't play, like, it's not a series. It's not the NBA.
Yeah.
They're not playing a best of 7. Like, they only had to play the 49ers once if the 49ers get there. But if outside of the 49ers, the Cowboys are obviously the second best team in the NFC. Like, obviously. It's not even close. So that's where I would push back on that.
Yeah, it's between, I would say, in the NFC, it's between the 49ers and the Cowboys when it comes to the NFC. But I think and he has another question. How do y'all think who you think will be the last 2 teams in the Super Bowl? That's a good question.
This sounds crazy considering what we're going to talk about tonight. Man, this is tough. As of this second, if I have to put money on it, I'll say 49ers, Bills. And I think I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm thinking if
I think I'm wrong. Only because, like, I can't make up injuries. Like, I know that injuries are what's going to determine the playoffs, like it always does.
Yeah.
I just think, like, just altogether, I think the Bills, what they showed me last week is they have finally the Bills have, like, I think it's because of getting rid of Ken Dorsey. I think they finally have more than one way to win a football game. And they also have the quarterback, got to have the quarterback. And I think the 49ers, just right now with a healthy roster, I give them the slight edge over Dallas. As much as I like the Cowboys right now, I think the 49ers healthy are a little bit better. Here's the thing. I know nobody's going to be healthy going into the playoffs. We're going to have a whole different conversation. Because I'm pretty sure that go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying, like, it is later on in this season, nobody's really healthy because everybody's pretty much worn down. Even though you get one bye week, but you're playing 16 games straight. Like you got one bye week, and then you got then it's getting to the winter time, and those hits are gonna hurt a little bit more than they did in the beginning of the year.
It just takes a high ankle sprain to change everything. I mean, I'm under the opinion that if the 49ers don't lose their quarterback last year, they probably go to the Super Bowl. Like, I'm still under that opinion, and the Eagles have done nothing to prove me wrong this year. Like, I know that it was fun, like, to make fun and say the 49ers were throwing out excuses or whatever, but I'm like, we see what happens when it's like when it's even Steven. So like I think that it would have been a lot closer last year if Christian McCaffrey wasn't at quarterback. Like, we can't say that the quarterback's the most important position in football and then also say that it doesn't matter if you don't have one. Like, I'm not saying like backup. I'm saying don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I think that NFC, game could have been a lot different, but we'll see.
Yeah, the Niners are just one of those teams that like they pretty much are very solid on both ends of offense.
Yeah,
Long as
great
you get
roster.
Yeah, as long as you have your Trent Williams, Debo, now you can see Debo one of the more valuable players on that team because when he was
Yeah,
out for those 3 weeks, they didn't win a game. But when
and
they
that's the
when
whole
they
point. That's my
yeah,
whole point.
yeah, you got to have a whole unit to win a Super Bowl. It can't just be one player. But
Right.
before we get into our next question, David has the Ravens and 49ers. I actually like that one.
Yeah,
Coming
I
from a
don't hate
Cowboy.
that.
No, I don't.
Here's what I say about the Ravens. I think it's all matchups, and I think that if the Dolphins can get home field, they can beat the Ravens on their home field. I think that if the Ravens get home field, I totally give them a chance to get in. I just think that the Dolphins, well, honestly, the Ravens losing Mitchell last week. I know it's kind of just a blurb that they lost Keaton Mitchell. That was a huge part of their offense and huge
It
part of
was.
why their offense was working. Like Lamar, like that's the guy. I mean, that speed back is literally the guy that opens a little bit more for Lamar. Again, we're talking about injuries here, but losing Mitchell was a big deal. If the Ravens are healthy and the Dolphins are completely healthy, I think it's going to depend on where the game is played. But I have no problems with saying, but I think that if you're going to tell me it's going to be January and the weather's going to be crappy and it's going to be Bills Ravens, Bills. I give the Bills the edge. I think it's just kind of especially after what I saw last week. But as living and married to the Ravens fan, I hope he's right.
Yeah. Before I wanted to say like the Bills, from what I seen, they finally got an identity what they want to do.
Yes.
Um, they don't have to throw the ball all the time because they didn't even
Yep.
get 100 yards. They got a
Yep.
really good runner in James Cook. Long as he
Yep.
healthy, and they have like a running back committee behind him and everything, and Josh Allen still can run effective.
Yeah.
They'll be real good, and their defense is really good as
Yeah,
well. So
last week's version of the Bills can beat anybody. Again, that's not what we're going to get. There's a lot of
yeah,
football to be played. Now, I will say that like Lamar and the Ravens are close to being in the same position. Like if you tell me that the Ravens defense has played really great, and I think they can slow anybody down. I just as of this second, I think the Bills have the edge. But I really like this Ravens team. I like what they're doing. Lamar, they're really close to figuring out the perfect offense for Lamar. I just don't know if they're there yet. In 2 years, I think he might have a 14-3 season and win the Super Bowl. I would totally believe that. I think they're really close, but I don't know if they're there just quite yet.
I don't I don't think this is their year, but this is like a start to where you're gonna see, okay, this team is the real deal. It's
Yeah.
just like it's a lot different what they have from the other offensive coordinator. You can
Oh
actually,
yeah, they're legit good. They can legit beat anybody. But if you really watch the games, like as bad as Jacksonville played last week, Ravens couldn't take hold of that game until late. The Bills would have beat Jacksonville last week by 30. The same Bills team that played the Cowboys would have beat Jacksonville by 30 last week. Is what I'm saying. But
yeah,
every week's a different week in the NFL.
yeah. It's that's why I say any given Sunday. But
Yeah,
for actually a good question. Shout out to David with that. My
yeah.
next
Thanks,
one,
David.
yeah, absolutely. Who's in your personal Dolphins Mount Rushmore of like all the Dolphin greats that y'all had?
So yeah, Dan Marino, Zach Thomas. Um, Man, I've seen so many over the years, so many great ones. I remember the Marx Brothers. So definitely Marino, Thomas. Um, Man, I'm thinking about maybe if it's hard not to put Jason Taylor in there.
Yeah.
Um, You know, a Dolphin I loved, I'm gonna throw in there, Brian Cox. I don't know if anybody remembers Brian Cox, one of the last true like insane middle linebackers that played like neck roll, was allowed to hit people. Brian Cox was a great Miami Dolphin. It's in the last probably 20 years. Ricky was it's just hard because it's hard for me not to forget those guys as kid. Like honestly, like Jalen Waddle's creeping up there.
Yeah.
Tyreek
Yeah. Yeah.
Kill. Like
Tyreek.
I haven't quite enveloped him as a Dolphin yet, but Waddle drafted by the Dolphin, like one of my favorite receivers all time with the Dolphin. So that's several of them, but those are ones that. But Marino and Zach Thomas are top two. Like love those guys. John Offerdahl. Nobody listening to this going to remember John Offerdahl. He's up there. Some great Sims. Great offensive lineman over the years. Like he's another one. So I gave you like 10. My Mount Rushmore is big.
Oh, no worries. Like, yeah. I heard of Brian Cox, but he's not like a guy that like, okay, I remember this guy like this.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. He was still classic middle linebacker. But he was also like right when athleticism started kicking in. Like he wasn't like Lawrence Taylor athletic, but he was really athletic. But he was also nasty. Like you were still allowed to like, I don't know, talk a little bit after the play or give a little
Yeah.
extra. He was probably like James Harrison is someone that would put you in mind of Brian Cox, like
Okay.
that type of player. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thinking
You
of
still had
James.
to, you still had to, you still had to, you still had to put your head down and stop the run back then. Like it was, you know what I mean? It was still, we're still at the time to where you had to go head up on an offensive lineman or a running back in the hole. I know nobody remembers what that's like. Like you don't, like especially Dallas fans. Y'all got a strong safety at middle linebacker now. Um, it's a different game. It's a different game. It's a different game.
Yeah, linebackers don't have to be 245 pounds anymore. They could be 220,
Exactly.
215 now. Like,
Yeah. Cox
man,
was an absolute maniac.
yeah.
A disturbing individual, really, really disturbing.
I may
Played
have
on one of the
to.
great Dolphins teams ever. Dan Marino blows his Achilles out early in the year. They had the best team in the league that year, and it'll be an all time what if Marino doesn't tear his Achilles that year,
Yeah, I gotta check
1993.
1990. Okay, I'm gonna have to definitely check that out.
Yeah,
But my next question is: we were kind of already discussing this already before the show. Have you? I know you watched Hard Knocks with the Dolphins. What are your
yeah.
overall thoughts on these few episodes they had so far?
Oh, they've been fantastic. Mike McDaniel is a guy that like he is a modern NFL football coach. He understands he understands everything about it. He understands the 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 openness, the transparency that you have now as an athlete with social media and all that. He's also like super smart. He's confident. Like he understands that he didn't have to be a middle linebacker to be a good head coach. He's totally confident how smart he is. How he seems he comes off as a guy that's like he'll literally tell you like he earned his position. Like it doesn't not feel like it was given at all. And then the players have come off good. They've done some really fun storylines. This most recent show was awesome about Wilkins and his best friend. That was awesome. It's been really well done, but it's also the difference between what me and you do in the summer is
Yeah,
that the games are games that matter. So like I told you, like 2 weeks ago, they gave up that a terrible loss to Tennessee, which I still think could cost them a Super Bowl shot, a shot at going to the Super Bowl. That lost to Tennessee when they were up by 14 with 3 minutes left. So I couldn't watch it because it's real. Like it's not the preseason like me and you are used to watching. Like the biggest stakes when me and you watch in the summer, and it's not that they're just different. Also like different is that it's about the rookies trying to make a team, the family watching, the the guy like, out of nowhere trying to scratch and claw and be on the roster. It's totally different when you're watching like just seriously, just the outcome of the game is all that matters. You know what I mean? It's not a storyline about the guy on the field. It's a storyline. So it's been fun to watch. It's really like you got to see Hard Knocks, Cowboys a couple years ago we did. It's been it's fun to get the inside of it. And I tweeted to the Off the Ball Network last night. I think this is my favorite like Dolphins team of all time. Like if I had to create a team when I was a kid, this would be the team. The head coach, the way the offense is, Tyreek, Waddle, Tua does all the right stuff. I know he's not a perfect quarterback, but man, he checks all the boxes for like every time this guy talks, like I'm in. You know what I mean? Like I'm totally sold. Like I can totally see how you would want this guy to be your starting quarterback. It's been awesome to get some inside knowledge of a team that, that you followed for I'm up to 40 years now. I know that was a long answer, but
I know you. When it comes to the Dolphins, I see y'all is one of the things y'all are loaded with weapons. They may not be household names outside of the Tyreek Hills and the Jalen Waddles.
yeah.
Y'all got running backs like a couple of them from the 49ers. It's
Yeah.
just a well. I give it this. Y'all are a well-oiled machine, but that's why I say it's gonna be a really good game overall.
Yeah, they built a great team. Like bringing Mostert in. Still, like Mostert's the second best running back in the league this year, and most people are still like probably really don't like. There's not a lot of Raheem Mostert jerseys out there. Dude's got 20 touchdowns. This dude's got more touchdowns than like 7 teams in the NFL.
I was looking at that. Like he's the leading. He leads in touchdowns, and he's 31 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been fun to watch him. That was a great get from San Francisco. But here's the thing: like when they were building this team, like we knew that was a good get. Like that's what's been awesome to see is like it's everything's worked. You know what I'm saying? Like like the plan, like it could have failed terribly. They could have been trying to build like San Francisco East, and it could have failed terribly. But it's worked. Like, I mean, this team has worked. Like, regardless of what they do, like they're a good team. Like they built a quality football team, like a better than quality football team. They built a playoff contender. It's been fun to see a lot of teams try this. We have just saw the Chargers fail at exactly what the Dolphins are trying to do. The Chargers try to become the other Rams, and it failed miserably. And they've wasted a bunch of talent, and they've wasted a bunch of money. And the Dolphins did not. It's been cool that it didn't backfire.
Yeah, that's the thing is like when it came to the Chargers, they invested so much money, but they just had the wrong head coach involved when they were making these investments. Like y'all got a great offensive mind, and then y'all got a veteran defensive coordinator involved in there as well. So
huge mistake. Huge mistake. Yeah. McDaniel, like when you watch McDaniel, especially on Hard Knocks, when you watch him coach his team, like he is a coach of the entire team. Now it doesn't mean he's coaching like nickel and dime, like the whole thing, but he is like a head coach. And we've talked about that how many times, AB, about like coordinators. Like when we do Hard Knocks, it's all about the coordinators. That's great. Be a coordinator. This McDaniel seems like a head coach who lets his coordinators do their coaching. Like he feels like he's in total control. He feels like he's like got his finger on the pulse of the entire team, and that's what you need out of a head coach. And the Chargers had the opposite of that, and it failed.
Yeah, it's like when it comes to their next hire, they need to take a little bit of that blueprint from the Dolphins a little bit and try to figure out what's going on with that because they have the talent. Is just they didn't pan out this year.
Well, a lot of people don't know this. Like your casual football fan, or you're not, especially your non-Miami fan, don't realize McDaniel's got his job because of the Rooney Rule. Like a lot of people don't know that. As much as controversial as the Rooney Rule is, and we might be past the time of it. The other side of it is McDaniel. He got the interview because of the Rooney Rule, and he killed the interview, and now he's one of the best head coaches in football. Like a lot of I would say a lot of your audience might not realize that.
Yeah, there's some people that don't know he's biracial.
Yeah, and here's the thing, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
But that's honestly that's why teams forced, I'll say forced themselves to interview him. So they went and they like found the best, and it happens, we talk about it all year. Like a lot of times, like the interviews, like, Eric Bieniemy is the biggest name in it all. And like,
Yeah.
teams reach out and they're like, I don't know, find me a minority to interview. And McDaniel was, one of those interviews, but he's proven why he's in the NFL, and it's worked out. Like, regardless of what you think, I'm just putting the facts out there that's how why he got his job. That's why he got his foot in the door. He's kept his job because he's good at it,
Yeah.
but he got the interview because of the Rooney Rule.
Yeah, and he's a young coach, but he started from the ground up because
Yeah.
from his
Absolutely.
yeah, he was a ball boy for the Broncos when he was a
Yep.
kid, and then
He's a
he worked.
genius. He's just a super smart guy.
Yeah, Ivy League guy, and then he was I found out he was a coach for that was that a football league that like in the like the early 2010s for like the Sacramento Mountain Lions or whatever it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah, he was one of the coaches then, and then he was like a coach for Denny Green, and then he was a coach for he has
Denny
a great
Green, underrated head. Denny Green was an actual head coach. I could do a whole show on how good of a football coach Denny Green was.
yeah, he's learned from a lot of great coaches in his
Yep.
in his decade and I think was it 15 years as a coach. He learned a lot from the Shanahans and there's a couple of coaches I'm trying to think off the dome, but that's the main ones that come to mind.
Yeah, Shanahan. He was like all those guys come from Washington at one point, which is crazy if they let all this talent out of the building. Like, man, how did they drop the ball on that? But yeah, he's my guy. He is my guy. And I'm talking to guy. I grew up with Don Shula. McDaniel is my guy. Like I could not be happier to have as my head coach. I hope he hangs around for 30 years. It's been an absolute joyride with him the last 2 seasons. I'm ecstatic about it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine a 60-year-old Mike McDaniels. I feel like he's still that same energy as now.
Oh, he'll still have the same swagger. Like like he's not embarrassed about it. He's got a lovely family. He's also a great, he's a lovely family man. He's a father. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy that can handle all of it. You know what I mean? It's not too much for him.
Yeah,
and that's what you need as a head coach.
Yeah, because some coaches try to find that balance with family and football, it's hard because you basically have another family on the other side, on the sidelines, and then you got at home too. So, but yeah, he's found that balance at a young age. But
and the X's and O's guys too. Like he's not just like a rah guy. He's not just a speech guy. Like he's a play caller. He's an analyzer. I would suggest everybody watch the Hard Knocks. Like this guy's a top to bottom head coach. Like don't judge a classic. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah. Whatever you think that cover reads, like he's way more complicated than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the preview, I see you got the Ohio State shirt jacket on.
Always, brother.
Yeah, I got to ask you, what do you think of National Signing Day for the Ohio State?
I'm not gonna lie, man. It was great. I know National Signing Day, we're talking about high school, doesn't mean as much as it used to because of the transfer portal. Because all it means at best is that you got a shot at these kids for one season. Like they could all leave the next year and all that. Like if you go listen to Jeff Needs Sports podcast, like you'll know all my feelings on the state of college football right now. Huge college football fan. I love it. But it was great, man. I mean, I'm never going to complain about getting the number 1 rated player in the country. I'm never going to complain about, I believe we got 4 of the top 15 or 4 of the top 20, like however the rankings want to break it down. And what it really showed was like, okay, I understand that like the last few seasons haven't went as we hoped, but what you don't want to see is the slide, like talent not coming. I'm sure you can attest to that with Texas after Mac Brown left and stuff. Like there was a bit of a dip, and then once you have that dip, then you got to like come out of the dip. Like here's what I would say: the best players in the country are still look at Ohio State and they're like, I want to give this team a shot. Which means if you can get that, and we're not even talking about Aaron Nolan on this list. Like we're not even talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the country on this list. There he is right there. So I was as disappointed as the season is. this is the easiest way to move on. Um, and if you look at the rankings of the teams that got the rankings, you still got you got your Alabama, you got your Georgia, you got your Texas, you got your Ohio State, you got your Oregon. Like you have to be up there if you're going to compete, consistently. You still have to get the best players in the country. So overall, ecstatic about it. I'd like to start getting some more offensive linemen. Some of the top
Yeah, I noticed
offensive
that.
linemen in High State. That's a big thing. We develop offensive linemen like the NFL is like scattered with High State offensive linemen over the last 10 years, but we don't seem to get the big gets in the in the signing day or whatever. That's kind of an issue. The defensive line, we used to just consistently like we got a good one this year, but consistently get that. But like overall, considering the depth of college football, considering the parity of college football, if you can still be in the top 5 of overall recruiting, I would be silly to say that was a negative. I was pretty ecstatic about it. I wasn't ecstatic as Ryan Day was. Ryan Day was having a bit of a moment. I'm not like he. So apparently he's still going to be our coach next year. So yeah, it was cool, man. I mean, it's still a big get that kids want to play there.
Yeah, one of these guys, he don't live that far from where I live in. This James People, that's a really
Okay.
good run. That's a really good running back y'all got right
Hey,
there.
we get less Texas guys than we used to because of the success probably of the Longhorns and
We had to get our
A&M and
guys back.
stuff. But yeah, you're right. But for a minute, man, like JT Barrett, like
Yeah,
those were our dudes. Like those Texas guys were our dudes, and we appreciate. Now it's Georgia. Oddly, amount of guys that we get out of Georgia now. How are these pipelines work? But I'll take it.
yeah, that's another surprising thing because Georgia's been on the rise. They didn't win championship, but y'all grab a couple of Georgia guys and they were paying out.
That's a big deal. That's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Um, was there like a guy that you're surprised that y'all signed on National Signing Day?
Oh no, it's definitely Jeremiah Smith. Like everybody thought he was going to flip to everybody thought it was going to be the classic like right up to the last second he was going to put on a different hat or do whatever,
Yeah,
go to Florida State, go to
that's what I was
Georgia,
hearing.
kind of like the kid that went to Nebraska, with committed to us, committed to Georgia, and then committed Rayola, I believe is his name. Kind of like he did to Georgia this year and did to us last year. Like we thought that was going to happen. For Smith to actually say like, "Yeah, I'm coming," I mean, like he's here's the thing about receiver too. What's good about like receivers are kind of can't miss.
Yeah,
Like if the nation says, if everybody says a receiver is the number one player, number one recruit, chances are he's at worst he's going to be really good. Like at worst he's going to be really good. It's not like it's not as up in the air as quarterback or something like that. So honestly, to get the number one, plus again, it sends that statement, of like and for Nolan to stay, I've already predicted that next year is like we're just rolling the kids out and seeing what happens. It's going to be the Fab 11 of college football next year. I think that's the way we go with it.
hey man, that'll be in the next 20 years if that's a 30 for 30. You predicted it then.
Yeah, because you got to remember, like we've got like the top receivers for like the last 2 years. Like the depth on our roster is all 5-star receivers. So for Smith could have easily, went to Florida State and been probably their number one receiver walking in the door. So to keep him, that was cool.
Yeah, and you're right when it comes to receiver, they're pretty accurate when it comes to receiver. Like if you get the
Yeah,
top one of the top 5 receivers in the nation, they're usually going to be
yeah,
a NFL receiver in the near future. And like it's pretty much a crapshoot when you're saying the best running back in the country because that maybe that top running back in there, he ends up just being like injuries may happen or he just didn't pan out.
yeah.
And there'll be that underrated running back that was like a 3 or 2 star, but now he's a first round pick. Those type of that running back is just like there's so many out there, and you just
Well, and
sometimes you miss out on one.
yeah, and the situation. I mean, High State, like we had 3 running backs leave this year. Like 3 running backs that could be in the bowl game are leaving. Like that's how that position. You just never know. Like we're going into that Cotton Bowl. thin. Granted, you don't feel sorry for anybody. I'd much rather be in the position you are and actually playing for a national championship this year, but I'll take what I can get. I don't want anybody to think that I think the recruiting day is more important than like being in an actual playoff game. Like, it makes me sad, but at some point I got to move on.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming for the Longhorns because we've been in mediocrityville for over 10 years, and finally being back in that,
Yeah,
and just being in the playoffs because it's our first
dude, they're
time.
good.
A lot of seniors we got on this team, but
Yeah,
we got good depth. But the guys that we signed, I really like them, especially the receiver out of St. Louis, Ryan Wingo, who's like 6'2", 205,
yeah.
and
Mm.
he has a track background. But when he catches that ball, he looks like a running back out there.
I'm sorry, but as long as y'all got those like those all white uniforms, like I give you the edge over anybody. Like everybody, me and my kid, we were watching the Texas playing that championship game, and I'm like, everybody looks fast in those all whites from Texas, man.
They're
Who's your
classy
favorite? I got to ask, who's your favorite Longhorn
for the
ever?
Longhorn of all time.
Vince Young?
Yeah, it's Vince Young.
Is it, dude?
I met him before.
Like,
Great guy.
oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like it was at a football camp, and we were like talking for 10 minutes, like we knew each other and everything. Like, some people they're kind of short winded, but he wanted to have like a whole conversation and everything.
That's dope, man. I figured it would be.
Yeah,
What a great guy.
yeah. But before we get off college, who was like your Ohio State, one of your favorite of all time?
Oh man, it would probably be from like the early 2000s teams that kind of changed, turned things like Troy Smith, Ted Ginn, like that class right there. Like all those guys have a spot in my heart. How it is. I'm just like you, man. You live your life based on these guys, and they give you
Yeah,
feelings. But yeah, like Troy Smith or Ted Ginn, like those are
good
two.
choice.
Brian Hartline, honestly,
Yeah,
we met him one time, just like you said about Vince Young. Like he took all the time in the world. This is when he was still way before pros or coaching or whatever. He's super cool dude. But yeah, I've got several. Dante Whitner, who's in the media and coaching now. Another great one. But yeah, there's several. But Troy Smith, like him, like same same time as Vince Young. Like you get it.
yeah.
But yeah, he's an all time great.
Where's Heartline from, anyways?
Just up north here, from like man, I don't want to say it wrong in case he wants to fight me. Um, it's up around Canton, but I don't know if it's Maslin or McKinley, and I don't want to
No.
say because if I get it wrong, they'll all be mad at me. But yeah, he's
Oh,
just probably about 2 hours north of me.
okay. So he's
Yeah. We met here in town. He was having an autograph signing. He just took some time to talk to me and my son, and hang out for a minute. He used to in the summers. He used to come down. We kind of hung out at the same like lake. Not too far down the road here, so we got some stuff in common. But yeah, great dude.
it, it's nothing better than meeting somebody that you're a fan of their game, and they're just like a down to earth type of person.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, you're exactly right.
But what we're here for is the Cowboys versus Dolphins preview. I almost forgot, but then I looked at on the title. Oh yeah, we're talking about Cowboys versus Dolphins preview. But
Great
every time,
game.
yeah, every time we do a show, we get off topic, but it's great content, and it's just like it's just conversation. That's all it is.
Yep.
Great conversation. But one of my things I want to know, what is like a key matchup you're looking for in this game?
So this is weird, and this is not an easy way out. But what I'm really looking for, because we talked about at the beginning, these teams are so similar. They both have the same issues. Also, like they don't win on the road. They don't beat quote unquote good teams. All these things. They're soft, whatever anybody wants to say. Honestly, it's really the coaching staffs. Yeah, when it comes down to it, can they adjust quickly enough? Like we saw the Cowboys last week. Like the Bills are like, oh, we're just going to run it all game, and the Cowboys were basically like, okay, we're done. Like they had no answer. They couldn't fight back. They just got ran over for 4 quarters, and the game was over. The Dolphins have had that too. Like the Dolphins played the Eagles, and the Eagles were like, I don't know, we're just gonna kind of be physical today, and the Dolphins are like, all right, we quit. We're in Philadelphia. It's cold. Like, we quit. So it's like, which coaching staff, when the other team shows how they want to win the game, can adjust, and instead of just laying down, like they've done a few times, like we've both seen. These are super talented teams, but it's like, and we both had the same issues. You got your issues with McCarthy being like, he's like, gets stuck in a rut. I would just keep
Yeah,
throwing it, and then the passes, they get more incompletions, more punts. You know what I mean? Like, it just like seems like I've watched the Cowboys, like all of a sudden nobody can get open, even though the week before they throwing it all over the field. Like, it's like they become predictable. Dolphins the same way. Like, oh, we try one of our, like, Hill can't get open till he gets sacked, till it throws it in the dirt.
yeah,
All of a sudden that double pitch run doesn't work. And it's like, okay, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, we're kind of done. Like, the Titans a couple weeks ago, and the Dolphins, like, hey, we're going to get tough. We're going to fight back. And the Dolphins were like, yeah, we're not going to stand up to that. No adjustments whatsoever. So it's sincerely about these coaching staffs, and like, the second half of this game, do these teams actually change? Because they haven't done that all season. Neither one of them have done it all season. They've been great at being awesome
yeah,
and beating teams, which is awesome. Like, that's good. It's good to win games like that. But the second half of games, it's been like, if they're getting beat, they're going to get beat. You know what I mean? I don't think either one of them really lost on the last, like, second. I mean,
yeah.
Dolphins are the closest, but still, like, if you watch that Dolphins game and they lost to the Titans, like, I could see early on, like, oh no, the Titans have figured this out. So, like, I really want to see the adjustments and which one of these teams, like, whoever's down at halftime, like, can they come back? You know what I mean? Because that's what you got to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's one of the things you gotta like you were making. That's one of the things you gotta do is make those adjustments. And one of the things about the Cowboys is those penalties. When we lose games,
Yeah.
we're lose. We're like we had like 9 penalties, and we had like led over 127 yards, and that's our second time allowing that those careless penalties. You can't just like, oh, it was the refs. We have a
Yeah.
lot of we lead the league in holding. Like
Yeah.
when those holdings, like we'll have a big play, and then they'll say, oh, holding on 73, 78. And you're like, dang, those penalties take you back, and then that momentum you had goes down. And
Yeah.
like you're saying, you got to make those adjustments. Like one adjustment on defense is we always keep in Micah Parsons as a defensive end, and he's a chess piece. Put him at
Yeah. What's going on with that?
um because they are in the media. They always ask that question. Dan Quinn kind of gives that presidential answer. Is like, I don't know if they're trying to save it for the playoffs, but I'm like, you could make those adjustments right now. You're playing against really good teams now. It's not the Panthers. Now you got you played the Bills, a team that's a really good team, but you didn't make those adjustments. And you, like you were saying, was it because it was too cold or something? It's like you seen James Cook was almost running for almost 200 yards that game, and
Yeah.
he was basically running right at Michael Parsons at time of the game to
Yeah.
test his will. And it's like they just didn't make adjustments. Okay, maybe we should put him at linebacker. We do have edge rushers like Sam Williams or Dante Fowler, where you can allow a guy to be moved around and everything to make plays. Because when he's just playing in and they're doing double, triple teaming, he's not a factor at that point. It's like you're not
Yeah.
making
He's
those.
under, he's, they've almost been putting him in a position to be undersized, and I don't quite understand. Like the first 5 weeks of the season or so, like, I'm like, oh my god, Parsons is, the most unstoppable player in the NFL, and it's like they've kind of put him in a, they kind of put him in.
I, I think they didn't froze on Jeff again. He was making some good points right now. Hopefully, we can get him back. Yeah, but this is it's gonna be a great game, but it's gonna be the who has the least turnovers type of game. Hope we can get Jeff back. Let me see. Let me do a quick refresh, real quick again. I don't know. Did we lose Jeff? Ah, let me. I'm gonna send the invite real quick. Cause Please. Okay. Send the link back. So hopefully we can get him back. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard tonight, but we haven't really been having this many problems in a while. Hopefully they get that adjusted because man, it's been a really good show. I appreciate y'all for holding. Shout out to Dave with the questions and everything. But it's great to have the audience. We don't mind comments and everything as long as you keep it real, football related or just some fun. You can have your honest opinion. Just be course about it. David, shout out to him. But hopefully we can get Jeff back. I just sent him the link, so we'll see. Let me see. While we're waiting for Jeff, I'll do my key matchup. And my key matchup is against who's going to be our left tackle this week. They're saying that Tyron Smith's going to be out with the back injury. And he's been doing really well this season. It just apparently during the what's it called the Bills game hurt his back at the end of the game, and it's just like dang, he was doing so well this season. It was like I didn't want to put too much in there. Like, oh, he's doing really good and hasn't got hurt really. He doesn't have to practice. He's been on the team for over 10 years. He's got a what's it called he has a veteran rest day all week, and I think him against Bradley Chubb, and I think if he's not good to go, I would put Tyler Smith at left tackle just to be safe. Uh, Looking at film on Bradley Chubb, I see a guy that has really good awareness, great footwork, about 6'4", about 260 guy, and brings power. You gotta protect Dak's blind side on that because they're gonna move him around and everything, and definitely will probably be on Terrence Steele's side. Terrence Steele still, I think, is still recovering back from that ACL injury, but I think I think that's one of my key matchups. So hopefully you can get Jeff back in. I just sent him the link, so let me see what's going on. I know he was saying he's having some what's it called, connection issues and everything, but hopefully we can get him back soon. I definitely wanted to hear his keys to victories and everything before we end this show. Let's see if we can get this on real quick. But I don't know if okay, he's seen it. So hopefully we get Jack back on. I don't know what's going on with the connections and everything. So we'll see. Let's get into some. Let me see. Oh, can you hear me, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the connection and everything. While you were going, I was talking about one of my key matchups, and that is who
Okay.
and it was on Bradley Chubb against our offensive tackles. And I was watching film on Bradley Chubb, like he could be a problem for us. And now with Tyron Smith out, maybe possibly out for the game with the back injury, it's like, dang, we may have to put Tyler Smith at the left tackle because I like Kidoga more at guard more than at tackle because you're playing
Yeah,
against has really good footwork.
I was thinking about that too, like you guys being down on offensive linemen, which sucks. But I was also thinking like another thing, like that factors into it. The Bills, like last week's game, the Bills winning, but the Eagles losing, like that edge. Like if the Bills lose last week, the Dolphins like start losing some of that edge. Like, okay, we got this. Like that's just a real thing that happens. And so now they're like, man, like we now we have to like try a little harder as to where maybe the Cowboys are like the Cowboys because they're in the playoffs, correct? Like the Cowboys secured a spot. So
Mhm.
like in the back of your mind, you're like, well, at least we got a cushion. That's a tough time to lose an offensive lineman. So um I was thinking about that too. Like, there's so many. Like, I'm telling you, these teams are like mirror images of each other. They really are. It's going to be fascinating. Fascinating to see how it goes. I think Tyreek's going to be healthy and back. So that's a great matchup. Versus Diggs and the secondary and Gilmore and all that. Like, but Dallas loves that interception, and this is a Waddle and Tyreek are like sometimes that can be a bad guess. Like if you want to take that chance and go for the interception, you might give up a 70-yard touchdown. So like that's an interesting part of it. Like it just goes on and on and on with these teams.
Yeah, when it comes to that, honestly I'd rather them go for the pass deflection instead of going.
Yeah.
But if you're confident and you see that ball hitting
Oh,
that way and you can catch it, you're playing risky business because
yeah.
those guys are
I was gonna say, if I
advanced.
was Dallas, I would say stay with your man. Just
Yeah,
stay with your man. Let that ball hit the dirt. Let it hit you in the ankles.
yeah,
That one bad guess can cost you. Like if you mess up with this Dolphins team, like it cost you 7.
yeah. You got to play it
And
safe with
Dallas can
those.
do that too. By the way, Dallas can do that too. By the way,
I I feel like both teams got to play it safe because we both got really talented receivers on, but
it
definitely the
might
outside.
be this might be an absolute shootout too. Like
Yeah,
if you told me that each quarterback's going to have 4 touchdown passes and it's going to come right down to the wire, I believe that too. Like
uh,
both these teams can score in bunches, in good situations.
yeah. They're kind of like you were saying. They're both kind of identical teams when it
Yeah.
comes to how they've been kind of iffy when it comes to making adjustments playing against teams that you're
Yep.
like, and that's one of the biggest things. And they both got really talented.
Dolphins definitely. Dolphins, I think, definitely are the better running team. Like Dolphins are a good
I
running
agree to
team.
that.
That would probably be the biggest difference. Now, the thing about that is though, what they haven't done this year is just run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like the Bills did last week versus you guys. Like I don't know if the Dolphins can just run the ball and win a game. Like it has to be like if they get the run going, then they take the big shots to like keep the defense honest. I know this is all like stereotypical coach speak, but like this is really what the Dolphins do. Is like they keep the safeties back, they make the corners think for an extra second because like if Tua doesn't make that pitch, it might be Waddle for 37 yards, behind you. So like they're the stereotypical team of like, balanced, keep the defense honest, blah blah blah. So it's like if you they want you to make that one mistake or 2 mistakes, and the game's over. Like the Jets, everybody told us how great the Jets defense was, and Dolphins just went out there and shredded them.
Yeah, that's the thing they were talking about how great the Jets defense, but y'all
Yeah.
figured how to
Yeah.
rip them apart. So that's one of
Mhm.
my that's one thing about the Dolphins. I know they're not going to change away from their philosophy how they play this game, but I know they're going to test our run defense. And that's one of my biggest things. Like y'all have Mostert, y'all have A Chain, who's a
Yeah.
speedster who can stretch out the field. That's one of my biggest worries. Like, can we contain those type of guys and making the that means moving around a guy like a Micah
Yeah.
Parsons because you're
Yeah,
playing against
they've
guys
got to
that
let
stretch.
Parsons. They've got to let Parsons go like I'm totally with you when I watch it. Like you got to let Parsons go to try and counteract some of that.
Yeah, yeah, he's got to be like into some spy work and in the blitzing and everything. You can't
Are
just put
did
him in one spot.
Do you think that they've like read their own press clippings and they're just like trying to turn Parsons into like Lawrence Taylor 2.0? And so they're like, all right, just come off the edge and make the big like why like I don't understand, like you brought up earlier, like why they're not doing that. Like what do you think the reason is? Like what do you think their overall plan is with Parsons? Because he's they've kind of like do they want him to just become like a just go get sacks guy? Because that's feels like a waste of talent to me.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to make him one dimensional. He's not that type of
Yeah.
guy.
No.
Like I don't care if he gets over a bunch of sacks, but if he's making an impact every game,
Yeah.
where he's making the stops, making things that you may not see on the stat book, but when you look at film, like okay, he's helped out on this. Like I'd rather see him flying around like when it comes to helping out on the run defense instead of him
Yeah.
getting.
Couldn't he be yeah, to me, like he seems more like he should be like a Fred Warner type
Yeah,
than
that's
he than what they're doing now. Because he's just so smart of like, he's really good at like like seeing coverages, knowing where the pass is coming from, reading blog. He does so good when he's just like allowed to like get out there and kind of like see the game. I'm just I'm just curious what they are doing with it. You know what? I hope they do it for another week, maybe one more week. Turn him loose in the playoffs. I will be happy to see the Cowboys get in the Super Bowl. Like just to get to the Super Bowl, like I'm good. I'm good with that. Maybe just one more week. Let's let Parsons just you know keep bashing his head into a wall. But I like this team. I like this Dallas team. I think it's one of the best teams I've seen from them in quite some time.
Yeah, that's coming from us Cowboy fans as well. We're surprised how well this team has done. Like we
Yeah,
had a season where we won 12 games, but this team has a different persona to them than like the teams of
yeah,
yesterday's past. You're like, okay, maybe this team could make it to the NFC Championship and see we can go from there.
yeah,
This doesn't look like a team like, oh, we're kind of worried about even winning the game in the playoffs because that's
yeah,
kind of been our thing. But when it comes to the AFC, I honestly got it's like a three-way tie between y'all, the Bills, and the Ravens.
yeah.
Like I'm trying to figure
I
out
think
who's.
it's down to that. I think the Chiefs are. I don't
Uh,
think the Chiefs can get home field. So then, I'm being honest. Like I think that eliminates them.
yeah, because they got the defense, but it's just they don't have any weapons outside of Travis Kelsey. Like you can't
And
trust Tony, and
yeah,
Rice is okay.
everything is a fight with them. Like they one of the shortest completion, like air yard completion teams in the league. Like as good as Mahomes is, like you want to talk about, like everybody thinks that San Francisco is dink and dunk.
Yeah,
San Francisco actually throws, farther down the field than any other team in the league. Kansas City's dink and dunk. Like Patrick Mahomes' offense right now, because of like out of necessity, that's a dink and dunk team. And I don't want to play them in the playoffs, but like I'm thinking if this is the year you can snag one, this is it. I know here's what I know. The Dolphins at their best, the Bills at their best, and the Ravens at their best are better than the Chiefs. Like it doesn't matter how good I think Mahomes is. Like I'm just being honest. And just like I think Dallas is the second best team in the NFC. Like I believe that in my heart. Like at some point we got to look at Philadelphia and be like, you are who you are.
yeah. In these last three games, they just showed that they're a good team, but they're a team that can be beat. You figure out their formula and you can pick them
Yeah.
apart, especially their defense in the
Yeah.
secondary. It's just
Well, that
Bradbury.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that too. Like if Dak plays like Hurts this season, we're just like people love to destroy Dak. Like Hurts has had an off season. Like that's just the truth of it. I don't whatever the reason is, I do think he's injured. I do think the offense is different. I do think they've played better teams, and everything that you want to involve in it. I think is Hurts a good quarterback? Yes, but he's had a really bad month. Like I don't know
yes.
why we can't admit that.
It's odd. It's like people acting like he's having an MVP type of season, but he's not.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just odd that how the media runs with that. Like, okay, he's been struggling for these past month. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just be honest. Like this
No,
is
he's
not
been
the
part of the problem. He's been part of the problem.
yeah. It's like the mental process and everything is not there, and it's just like the whole team has not been like they were in the beginning of the season. It's like a total 360 when it comes to that team.
So if Dak looks good, like we'll say Dak looks good against the Dolphins, they win. Takes the NFC East and all that going into the playoffs. Let's see the MVP. Just can you? I think so. I think he might be.
Yeah, I'm in that Mike category. It's just like there's the people want him to be the MVP because he's having a really good season, but
Yeah.
him being Dak, they're like, we don't want to give it to Dak. They're gonna because they got that mindset where they're gonna be a first round knock. Why would you have him the MVP?
Right. Same with Lamar. Lamar's
Yeah,
and kind of rightfully so, but this whole team, like Dak has carried this team. Like this is not a good running football team.
yeah,
Like this is a pass first football team.
yeah. It's like we had a dash a bit of running here and there, but
Yeah.
like you said, this ain't the team where you had Zeke and Pollard like you
No.
had last year, where you're running the ball and then you're kind of like passing here and there. But no, this is modern day football now with the Cowboys, where we're going to be a pass heavy team and utilize a running back here and there.
Yeah.
But
I
before
think that
my bad.
real quick, I'm just saying Dallas is just like Miami. They really want to get home field advantage. They really want home field advantage. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's the goal where you can just
Yeah.
we're both two teams that are really good at home. When it gets on the road, it's a here and there, especially against
Yep.
we got to play against those teams in the frozen tundras now.
Well, that's what's crazy. Well, one last thing on this week. That's what's crazy. The Cowboys need to beat a. They basically just need to win on the road, let alone beat a good team on the road. And
Yeah,
the Dolphins just need to beat a good team. So like this week, like this game has so many like micro stories. On if the Dolphins lose this game, they're not going to get any credit. Like they're going to be just like you're talking about. And if the Cowboys win it, you're like, okay, they went on the road. Then everybody's going to say like, well, it was Miami.
yeah, they
But
are.
Cowboys do need a road game. Like that's a real thing. Like they need to win a road game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you were saying, they are gonna say, "Well, the Dolphins." Like, well, no, the Dolphins are one of the best teams in
Yeah.
their conference. Don't knock them off. But who's like last on y'all? What's the last remaining games I have this year?
We still have we got the Ravens. Christmas night is no, I'm sorry. New Year's Eve is the Ravens. We
Okay.
have the Cowboys this week, and I want to say the last game of the season must be the Bills. Yeah, because it'd be a conference game.
In the Bills at home.
Yes, Bills at Miami because we already got thumped by them in Buffalo. No, yeah, the Dolphins are like they really losing that Titans game made this game very important.
Yeah, dang. So we both there's nothing we got in common. We got beat by the Bills.
Yeah, no. That's what I said. It's mirror image. Like there's neither one of these teams it's they're both like going to be in the playoffs and they have all these question marks, but at their and also at their best they can beat anybody. Like both these teams at their best have been awesome this year. So it's very interesting. I hope they play an honest game. You know what I mean? Like I just want to see I want to see them both try. I want to see them both lay it all out on the line and have a great game is really what I want to see.
Yeah, you just want to see them play like this is like the Super Bowl or something like that,
Yeah,
going
because
down
we
to the
thought
wire.
that last week. Like versus the Bills, and then that was terrible. Dolphins were the same way versus the Eagles. Like, oh, Dolphins, Eagles just ran through them. It was a terrible game. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see a good one.
Yeah, I want to see game of the week at 3 o'clock my time, 4 o'clock your time type of game.
Here's a throwback for the veterans out there. I want to see Snow, and I want to see Leon Lett. If anybody knows that reference, we're best friends. Happy Thanksgiving. One of the greatest moments of my entire life.
Leon lit.
Yep.
We'll leave it at that. But hey, I appreciate you, bro, for getting on the show. Before I let you go, where can I check you out your podcast and whatever you got going on, bro? Appreciate you again.
Yeah, as always, man, it's great to be on with you. Yeah, I'm back. Jeff Needs Sports is back weekly to bi-weekly at most. Me and Mo Murphy from Off the Ball Network have done a ton of college football stuff. We just did a college football playoff / New Year's Six preview. Go check that out. You can find me, on X at jhunt006. And of course, check out Off the Ball Network for all the stuff we're doing over there. And you can always go back and listen to, me and AB's old shows if you want to see where this friendship, came from the last few seasons.
Yeah, we definitely got some great work, and we did in the archives and everything, and definitely we're gonna do another. Was it season 4?
Yeah. This
Hey,
will be next will be our 4th season. Can't wait.
yeah, absolutely. I'll
I
know
wish
you.
we would have done the midseason. I dropped the ball on that. I didn't know last year's was terrible. That
Yeah,
Arizona midseason was terrible. This Dolphins one's one of the best hard knocks we've ever had.
yeah. It's like we should have did that. It was just like how you said that Cardinals one is like, man, we'd be really wasting our time trying to watch
Yeah.
that and
Hey,
trying to
good luck
discuss.
to the Longhorns. I mean that in all sincerity.
I
Not just
appreciate
because I have money on them. I really mean that. I put money on them months ago, so there's no correlation
it.
there whatsoever.
We should beat the Washington Huskies. It's gonna be a real good game. So I
You
think
should come on and do one of the college football shows, man. If everything goes right, come on and do one of the college football shows with me and Mo.
Okay, I'll definitely try to get on that show. Definitely got to that would be a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But y'all, it's gonna be we got some great football this week. Happy y'all have a great Christmas, and hopefully everybody got their Christmas shopping out of the way. I'm still got to do some last minute Christmas shopping tomorrow, so y'all pray for me that I get everything I need to get before for Christmas. But y'all have a good one. Peace.